the Office of Conflict Counsel Furnishing and Supplies. I just touched base with Mr. Wixom just to make sure that he had access to the programs that he needed. He's got access to Westlaw, no problem. I did reach out to Carrie, but he's out of the office as far as an invoice goes. We were uncertain of if that would fit, and if not, how much it might be. So that is still a question out there for Carrie when he gets back in the office. On the I-courts, he says he can access schedule and calendars and things like that, but not the actual documents. So I didn't know, there's something that the board signed.
He needs extended access. That has to come through the Supreme Court for him to be granted that.
Yes, and then I think there was paperwork that was signed that was going to get sent off, but...
That I'm not positive. Oh. Carrie will be back on Monday, so we'll know for sure then.
And I'm sorry, what did you call it, just so I asked?
Extended access.
And I will follow up with Mr. Hall on that one as well. The last one that I knew of was the case management. Dave Martinez had reported to the board that there would be a way to assign him cases in there that no one else in the public defense office would have access to. It doesn't seem that that has been able to happen yet. So I didn't know if we could speed that along.
Braden, there's a phone call.
Okay.
And there is, Mr. Wixom uses a different case management. So if there's some hiccup hurdle thing that we just can't get over, he said there is something he's used in his private practice. He'd be more than happy. He loves it, right? Things like that. So I said I would just put that out there. But he does understand the efficiencies of using the system that Bannock County is using. Excuse me, he just needs access to it. Okay. Wonderful. And then I did ask if there were other items or programs or anything else that we might be missing as we set up this office brand new. I told him I appreciated his patience as we get all of these things up and going, and he couldn't think of anything at the moment. So he does seem to pop in a couple times a week and just kind of double check processes, procedures, right, how to do things. So that does seem to be working out really well. So
The other day you sent me an email talking about funding for like a witness or something?
Yes. So he did touch base with me this morning on that, an assessment that they needed outside of his normal realm of things. So when they met with the courts again earlier this week, they extended that court case for 2 weeks. He's been unable to identify somebody that would be willing to do that assessment. His intent is still to ask the courts to pay for that, but until he identifies the individual, ask the courts to pay for him, we just don't know what that might look like.
Okay. It was just something new to us, and I didn't know.
Yes. But it's been extended, which was super nice.
Okay.
Right, just to give them a little more time to get things together. So.
Any comments, questions?
I think so. We'll just keep looking for attorneys.
Rocky's been great, so.
Still need one administrative assistant.
Yeah. And we'll still
We'll keep
beat
them
the
open,
bushes
keep working.
up there too. Or maybe we get one in there and then they'll have a friend. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Rocky said we were silly to leave him over there by himself so long, so.
Well, thank you. Your next item?
Okay.
Thank you.
So much. Number 4, I have a request before the board to purchase Bonfire e-sourcing software. We were able to meet, have a demo of this software. What it is an electronic solicitation process. Right now we do it, I run it mostly through like Excel, and then we hand walk it through the whole process. So this would be an electronic, faster version. A complete audit trail is included in there, which is nice. I had them run a demo for my procurement team, as well as Adam in IT and Emma, the PIO, to make sure it would fit and work with all of the website things that we want to do with that department. And we discussed the pros and cons of using this platform, and we've identified a couple benefits for 3 different key players for Bannock County. The first one, I want to start with the vendors and how they would benefit by moving to this software. One would be they would have a dashboard very similar to what I present to the board every week. They have a dashboard that changes colors as far as soon as we put out a solicitation that might be due in 6 weeks, right? It is green. As we come closer to a deadline of questions or a bid being due, right, it changes to yellow. And then if they have less than a week to respond to something, it goes to red and jumps to the top of their screen. So it just automatically organizes for them if they're an entity that is looking at several different projects, that they're going to see all of that in the same place at the same time. They also get email notifications. We do have a database that is growing, which is fantastic, that I let them know that we have something for them. But this way they can actually, every time Bannock County has something that's in their realm of possibilities, they can sign up to receive everything. They can sign up to just receive their field. Whatever they want to do, they can run that process. They can also see a complete list of everything we've done. So if it's something that they're new to the area and they want to reach out to Bannock County, and they want to see how often we rebid our medical services out of the jail, they'll be able to see when we did it last, right, when it's upcoming, what it looked like last time. They'll be able to have all that information as well, just right off our website, which would be great. Another one of those stakeholders then is internal, our departments and our evaluators that we use. So then the departments are going to have constant access to all of their projects that they have in there. Everything from when we initially build the calendar for them, all the way through the process, that they can see it grow and change and where it is, if we have published it, if we are receiving questions on it, anything like that. They'll have access regardless of where they are. If they happen to be out of town in training or anything like that, they can just log in and have access to that there. As well as again, kind of like the vendors can see things in the past, so can my departments. They'll be able to see everything that they've run in the past. Road and bridge consistently goes out for the same items, salt, road oil, things like that all the time. They'll be able to see what we ran last year, what timing we did, right, and if we need to make adjustments this year too. So the last is the commission office, the procurement department. I mentioned that we have increased the number of our vendors that we have that we notify. We're up to 72, which is a 50% increase from March, which is great. But going over to Bonfire just puts us in a different playing field altogether. They have over 63,700 vendors that have specifically asked for Idaho-based solicitation projects. So that's not Bannock County, it is Idaho, but these are companies from all over the nation that are asking that we get to now have our solicitations in front of. So dramatically increases the number of people that can see and know our projects and what we're doing. As well as a new thing that we haven't done
You're
thus far.
pushing your 10 minutes.
I will go faster. Vendor performance management. We've never done it in the past. Something I'm interested in going forward with. We will skip to the ask. So this is something that I am asking for to be included in the budget next year.
Next year, not right now, or?
However, both now.
Okay.
So we have the opportunity to just pay for the implementation fee this year. The invoice is $3,000 for the remainder of this year to get us up and running. That we are all cylinders firing come October, and we're up and we get all the implementation done this year versus next year. So that asks, so $3,000 that I'm asking for this year. IET. Adam clears it. It would connect and they host it. So everything that Adam IET-wise, he's good with everything with that. He was excited for the program and what it would allow us to do. So I do feel that there's a couple different places that we could pull those funds from this year if the board was interested. I feel county operations would be the best fit, as that's where we're moving to next year, is putting all of those procurement costs in there. And I do feel that they would have room in there this year to pay for the $3,000. And there's a couple other. We have not utilized all of our travel expenses, our office travel in the commissioner's office budget, that we could do it from there if you'd rather do that.
Comments on funding?
It'll already obligate money for next year. Normally you're hesitant to do that, but I know you want to move forward.
We've just
because
done it in
this
every
is-
office.
Well, and this is a project you guys want
Everywhere else, I just.
to take on. You could probably pay it out of county operations. There should be funding. We've got an overage in one line, and I have like 6 notes already of where we're stealing and putting money in pots, so you could do that.
What's the ongoing cost?
$10,050.
And this is a year-to-year subscription. It's not a locked in for 2 or 3 years or anything like that.
I would be interested to see how it's going to work with Tyler.
Okay. So they can, we can pull out raw data from one and put it into Tyler. It sometimes can be clunky and different, right? So the intent right now is to keep them separate. That we would run the solicitation through Bonfire up until we recommend awarding with the Commissioner's Office. Once the Commissioners make an award, then everything is turned over into Tyler. The vendor would then create a login, right? Run their contract through, invoicing, everything else. So right now the idea is to keep them separate.
So this is all just front end stuff, all the tracking and everything still goes back through
Yes.
auditing?
Yes. Yep, completely.
Well,
I like it just for the fact that it opens us up to our bidding pool, because right now we're struggling to get 2 or 3 bids on a project. And you had a conversation with Ada County, I think you were telling me that Ada County thought 5 was a
Low response rate.
low response rate. And we would be thrilled with a response rate of 5.
Right.
Completely.
So for that opportunity, I think it's worth doing.
And there's no cancellation fee or anything like that. If it doesn't work the way we want it, it's $10,000 one year, but next year it's,
Other than all the time she's going to take.
well.
There is that. And that is, right, the bulk of everything would be on me to get it set up, get it run through. My department heads would have a little bit of training, but very little. So she is right that would be a cost. But yes, as far as we would pay the annual subscription fee, if something more fantastic came out, we could move, shift.
But then you lose it history, so we want this to work.
so have you identified anybody else that uses it?
Yeah. Yes, so there's quite a few. They run through a co-op that Idaho participates in, so there's quite a few other ones. I talked directly to Ada County. There are ones that use that also.
Oh, they use it, Ada
Yeah.
County does
Mhm.
use it, okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
And they actually didn't use the co-op. They went out to bid because they wanted to see what else was out there. And they had 8 different responses, Bonfire winning that bid. And so they have vetted out their own way of doing things, but yes.
And you ran this through your group, they looked at it.
The procurement team, yeah.
Tyson,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
what'd you think?
I think it's got some key features that'll help her, for sure, is what we're trying to do.
Okay, Hal,
Same.
Scott? Okay.
Back row has a thumbs up.
Much needed.
Okay. Well, with your support team in the back, I'd say, let's have a motion.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the bonfire purchase as presented. Did we make a decision where funds were coming from?
County operations.
County operations.
With funds coming from county operations not to exceed $3,000.
Motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I will speed through that update.
Ah.
Jail detention, the architectural services is complete. We're moving forward with the RFP. The landfill cell for phase 2 has been published 2 weeks ago, and we have that pre-bid meeting on Monday. The floor replacement in GB detention has been posted a couple weeks ago, and those bids are due on Friday. Emergency services fuel grant manager, that bid has been canceled, and we're looking at rebidding those services at this time. And the event center gravity sewer system. We were getting some feedback from the vendors that allowed us to respond better to the construction facility as it is now and some of the constraints that they're under. So while it wasn't intended to be so, we have issued our addendum that was due last Friday. It does include the incomplete RFP portion of that. So they already have and know what else we're looking at, and they can just simplify their process. They're going to submit once. All vendors would submit one time to Bannock County, as well as we'll review once. It hasn't changed the project at all, just the timing and the paperwork that we do. But that was a major change that we had on that one. Unless you have questions.
I'm good.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That took a while. I was like,
We're good, thank you. Daniel.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Dan Kendall, Project Manager here to hand over a building evaluation report. With the merger of special projects and the maintenance department, creating a budget and a long-term plan wasn't possible without creating this report. My hope is that the report will accomplish the following: to inform the commission and the clerk of the condition of our buildings, to create a maintenance department that serves all of our buildings, to adopt a maintenance minimum standard, and to build a long-term facility plan. I'll be using this report for our City Works program and for our ADA transition plan as well.
So as Dan and I have been working together to better serve our departments here at Bannock County, decades ago, right, we were very siloed in what we were doing and who was doing what. So now reaching across those divides and being able to connect things that weren't always connected before, we found amazing efficiencies and priorities to be able to build between the projects that Dan has going on and how we're going to procure those goods and services. We're able to make a calendar of all the projects that we have and then align them with those different disciplines and their scheduling of when it's a good time to build a roof and when it's a good time to dig up ground, things like that. So we're excited to move forward with this project as a whole, to get all of Bannock County in one and be able to bid out those services and items that we need accordingly.
The first time I looked at it was this morning.
Okay.
And I'm impressed. There's a lot there.
Yeah,
It was a little depressing.
Yeah.
As I started
more than a little
looking at the funding and the suggestions,
Sure,
I'm going,
yeah.
oh, how are we ever going to do all these things?
It's a lot. I just wanted you guys to be aware and have something you could put in your hands and take a look at.
No, I love it. I love the presentation. And what I'd like to really do is set up like a monthly meeting that you come in and just kind of, just like Shannon just did with her, where we're at with each budget. Let's talk about where we're at with each projects and the project that people bring before you, because I know you get asked a lot.
Sure.
And like I've always said, I'm the one that'll say no for you.
Appreciate it.
100% of the time. And
Yeah.
so I would like to really do that. I like it on a monthly basis, that we kind of have the conversations and see what direction we're actually going at, and especially I need to digest this
Yeah.
more too, so we go into budget and where we're gonna go. Christie?
Well, and speaking of the budget, is there any way to put like timelines on 1 to 3 years to 5 years so that we could utilize this part as a capital improvement program?
Yeah.
How we could anticipate and plan and forecast what needs done and when?
Christie and I
Not
talked a little bit.
necessarily in the near future.
Christie and I talked about that a little bit last week, and I think she's got a great plan or a great process that she wants to look at doing. And this fits right into it, I believe,
It does.
with what we talked about. So
Yeah.
I would second her request on that.
And timelines would be super helpful that way we can build that time frame out
Sure.
and make sure that you can get what you need.
Jeff, you could come up too if you want to be part of this.
Yeah, it's-
No, you can sit back there.
It's a lot, and I think in the report you'll find a guideline for what I think the minimum maintenance standard should be, like on page 3. And then we have, 15 pages of descriptions of our buildings with pros and cons and recommendations, which I need, your help with, of what your priorities are. And then I included all those aerial views of the different properties that a lot of us didn't know existed. I mean,
Yeah.
there's stuff all over the place that we own. A lot of it's landlocked and doesn't have roads to it, and I don't know how we got them, but I included that in the report, and then I did include that priority list, but I will divide that up into years and present it to you guys, and let you guys have your input of what you think is most important.
And honestly, if we have properties that we're not utilizing,
Right.
why do we have them? Put them out there, let them be bid on, and
Sure.
people pay taxes on them instead of us just.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's a lot of work. I need to thank Shanda. I need to thank Christy Davenport and Jessica Morgan and GIS with super big help putting this together. It was a lot of work. So.
Oh, when I looked at that this morning,
This is
wow.
fantastic.
I love it.
Know where he's been hiding that.
That's true.
Any questions? Anybody else?
Okay.
But,
Wow.
yeah, let's get with Christine. Let's just get like a monthly, give us a couple weeks. We're gonna be out of town next week.
Sure.
Terrible week next week and
Budget the next week.
budget the next week. But, so, let's get you on the schedule.
Okay.
So, yeah, and like Chrissy says, since we're in budget stuff, if you can give us that timeline of critical mass and things like that, I think that would be fantastic.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great work, Dan, thank you.
Bet.
This has my name,
Mm-hmm.
but it's Michelle and Nancy are really the go-tos. So I will let them introduce themselves.
This is another one kind of like that too, that I got this morning
Yeah.
and haven't had a lot of time to look at, so.
One,
we'll-
we can do a high-level overview of
Yep.
just, this is actually putting the process on paper. Before we had a grant management process or policy, but it was, what, one page, maybe one and a half?
Yeah, 1 page.
Very high-level overview.
Not
But as
nearly
we've
enough.
talked over the past little bit, we have a few departments that have the process down pat. Matt and Todd, they know the process. Our sheriff's office have a lot of recurring grants that they know their process that they need to go through. But then we have some departments that are going outside the box, getting some different grants. Or we have new employees that really have never grasped how we need to do things. This will allow us to do, so you've got the flow chart that has the process, and then we've got the policy that has, or the manual that actually has more detail, and then Nancy put together at the last, well, not at the last minute, but we reviewed it and submitted it last minute, was the sub-recipient policy. And a lot of these documents we need to have in place for departments to know what to do, but we need to have them in place to be in compliance with certain grants. Like the sub-recipient policy, we've got to have that in place. Our external auditor just talked to me within the last couple of weeks, and I had to fill out an internal control report on grants and making sure that we were spending money appropriately, that we were reporting it timely, that we didn't have people trying to spend money, whether to benefit themselves or to pay for things that shouldn't be paid for. All of my answers fall in line with this, but this is actually putting it down on paper, and Michelle and Nancy have worked extremely diligently on getting this done. Nancy came up with a form, where's that at in the packet?
I don't know if I put that in the packet.
We
Because
also
it's separate.
came up with, and here's a copy. This is what Jason and us met on. We've developed just a rough grants team that involves Nancy and Michelle and I and Jason, and then we're going to loop Chantel in as a backup for certain grants. But this is a notice of funding opportunity and risk assessment for grants. What we would like to see is departments fill this out, and then we can make sure it's going through the appropriate process, the right people are being involved, which will, start with the department finding a grant, talking to us about how it's going to be managed. Do we have the right documents in place so that we can be in compliance? What are this will address ongoing costs. If there's going to be capital items or procurement involved, we'll know to loop Shanda in, all that kind of stuff. So
You're making it all complicated. I just walked down to Michelle's desk and say, what do I need to
The idea is if the
No,
department can't fill this out, are
They
they
shouldn't
gonna
be
be able to
applying.
manage the
Yes.
grant?
And I'm agreeing, I do. Honestly, I do. I get an email or whatever, I just, okay, what do I need to do here?
But this also allows us to
Yep, me
get
too.
the 95% done before it comes to you.
I appreciate that too.
What we would like to do is guinea pig a couple departments with this form, and then have them fill it out, make sure it's going to work, and then bring it back and with the final draft of, it was perfect because Nancy did it, or we had a few tweaks here and there because we didn't think of a couple of items.
And then in that turn, every time we're up here, I just turn to Nancy.
Yep.
Exactly, unless Michelle's here, and then you're like, okay.
And it's really the processes we've already been doing, but we had nothing in writing. And so it also details everything, like how they submit invoices, what needs to be on there, how we set up the accounting process. And so it helps whoever's applying for grants, especially if they're new, understand the entire process from beginning of grant all the way through closeout.
No, I like the putting it down.
I can tell I've become institutionalized because I think this is fantastic. I love that we've got the process down and things like that. My question was, you and I had talked about creating a grants department that managed that whole process, and where are we at with that, or do you think that
So-
this supersedes that?
That really is Nancy, Michelle, and lumping in Chantel. So that they will be, I mean, they're the go-tos for it. And they're all the critical pieces. They already have their jobs. It's just people, I think that grants department is really just letting people know that these are the people that work on grants and will help you through. So not necessarily budgetarily lumping them out into their own department, but that they are the team that puts it together. So maybe not a department, but the team. This is it.
Well, let me rephrase the question.
Okay.
I mean, bringing them together, I thought that we kind of talked about putting them all in one office so that the whole grant team was right there, kind of a one-stop shop instead of having to go to a couple different places, which again,
The problem with that would be, I would need to add staff then. Because if you move Michelle up to Nancy and Chantel, I'm out of body. She doesn't just do grants.
okay.
That's probably 75% of her job, but she does alcohol licenses. Which I guess we could move that upstairs, but she also helps me with taxing districts and other items. And to be efficient and frugal with monies, if we could keep her in my office, but maybe when we send this out, say currently the grant team consists of these bodies.
And that's submit to grant notify. It will submit to all of us that need to know, and then we'll include anybody else. Also, internal control to keep her separate because she's doing the reporting.
I'm doing the financial part of
But she's
it.
part of the team.
And so it's actually under like the clerk's part. Plus I work hand in hand with receivables and payables. So I know when the money's coming in, when it's going out, if it's actually appropriate for the grant. If I'm not right there, I don't have any of that.
It's a little
Okay.
easier just to yell right here, right here.
Yeah, no, that's
It's
fine.
like, it's like working remotely.
Yeah,
Yeah, she'll just work remotely from
I
home.
kind of look at it a little bit like we did to Chantel for the request for information. I mean, we kind of set her up as that, but she still had her own office and stuff. And I'm looking at it kind of that way a little bit, but I'd like to review all this and
And
do
I
the
can
same
actually
thing.
send you a PDF version so you can like click on.
Yeah, that'd be
Because the
great.
picture,
Yeah.
it got all jacked up, but I
that
can
would,
just
that would
send
be
that.
great if you do that.
And then
Fantastic.
it has the table of context you can click on and go
And-
exactly.
And if you like this, Nancy touched on it, but the grant notify at Bannock County, that's set up kind of like we're hoping to set it up just like the agenda request group, so that once an email is sent to there, all of us will be notified. So all the right parties know what's going on, and we can start communicating on the process.
I,
Plus, it's centralized, and if anybody comes and goes, that doesn't change.
well,
And based on this, we would have a meeting with the project manager, and that would become
we're getting away from siloing. That's what
Yeah.
I love, is that, how does this work?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I like the direction.
Yeah,
you
we've
have talked
we've
about.
gone over the sheets and the processes that Michelle and Nancy put together, and we've had a couple meetings and chatted with everyone about it and brainstormed, and this is the product. I think it's going to be really much more efficient to let people
And I
know.
did send it out to all the people involved in grants currently, and I only received one response back from the sheriff's department, and so I don't have any other input or questions.
Okay.
but if you'll review it, and then if you're good, we've got a couple new grants that we will have them work through this, and then maybe.
Go ahead and utilize that form right now.
And then maybe in 2 weeks.
That's what I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then in 2 weeks, we can maybe come back and see if we can get this formally approved.
Yeah, yeah. But let's go ahead and start utilizing the form.
Yeah.
I think that
Let's
that's.
beta
I like
test
it,
it and
yeah.
see.
So just so you know, so if we're gonna start using this, our proposal is, the very first question is, this is a recurring grant. Because small little ones like all the sheriff's mini grants and stuff that we already have set up, we already have a process. Pretty much if that box is checked and they send this in, we think that they can just go ahead and fill out the application and not come get pre-approval from you to apply. Anything that would require more work and everything else is brand new
A
grant.
significant change.
Should fill this out, let's see if you can do that, come get approval and then apply. So.
I like it.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we're
if
fighting
it's,
for those small
I'd say,
little ones that are.
well, I know a lot of them that we deal with, like the sheriff's office or over at juvenile. I mean,
Same
we've
thing
been
after
doing
you-
it for a long time.
Yeah, so
But-
the small easy ones.
But if you're gonna bind the county on something that's new, we'd like to know about it
Yeah.
ahead of time.
Well, the manual will help more define when the commission needs to be involved before the application process. And because you don't want people doing a lot of work and then it not even being a worthwhile grant, and everybody's been involved, it's just not a best utilization of time.
I love it. I love it.
Okay, we will come back before you maybe in a couple weeks, hopefully get this formally approved, and then
Do you want
let
a
you know
motion
what
on
feedback.
this? Or are we okay?
I
just
think
to
we're
beta test
okay,
it?
we'll just conclude with the whole packet, we'll just request people to start using it now and do it all at once.
And then once it's approved, we'll throw this on that intranet that we talked about with
Yeah.
all of the processes and policies, and also let them know who's to be looped in.
Are we going to make this a fillable PDF from the intranet?
She
We
has
could.
it,
is
it
already
is.
filled.
It is?
Yes,
Okay, perfect.
I created it. for her.
Of course you did. Silly me.
All right, and I'll email the actual document so you guys can.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Hal.
Good morning, Commission.
Pretty regular. See you on a daily basis now.
Yeah, getting close. Hal Jensen, Planning Director, Bannock County. You have before you an item relative to application from Bannock County. This is an idea and a suggestion that came about from the invitation I received from Commissioner Tovey. I attended the last Building Contractors Association of Southeast Idaho annual dinner and auction, as well as with Commissioner Huff and others. And in that process, we noticed there were other jurisdictions that were part of that group. And so we discussed whether or not it would behoove us and be beneficial to be a part of that group officially. So I am, after conversations, I am placing before you for consideration and potential acceptance to have Bannock County join the the Building Contractors Association of Southeast Idaho as an associate member. It does two things. It builds a lot of bridges. It helps those people that we work with on a daily basis know that we are serious about being a part of their team and development in our county. There are a couple of things that it also does that we've talked about internally with staff. One is that many work in other jurisdictions, but each jurisdiction has their own interpretation of code and ordinance, and there are different things, and we want them to realize that we are a resource as opposed to a police action. Okay? Who spends more time in the code and who spends more time in the ordinance than me and staff? And so we invite them to come in and sit down and do what they can to help. We don't want them to view us, I mean, we want to be friends, but we don't also want to expect that we would roll over and do favors. I don't want that perception there, but yet in the same token, they need to know that we're available as a resource and that we are vested and have an interest. We talked about taking it out of my department's funds. There was discussion that it would probably have a better appearance if it came from Bannock County. So I'm requesting that if you think this is a good idea and we move forward, that that would come out of the general fund. Christie shaking her head no.
No, I think it should come out of yours, because you're going to be the member.
Um,
So we could just, and next year what we could do is we could add a dues line.
So the question was whether the perception would be it came from Bannock County or from a department, and the perception of coming from a department was what we focused on, Christie, more so that it would be Bannock County in general. I will go whichever direction you tell me.
Bannock County Planning and Zoning. Just have your membership record as Bannock County Planning and Zoning.
Okay.
That just seems more appropriate than the commission, you know, and it ties more with your function.
Okay.
So
Well,
that's why
all
planning
other
and zoning-
departments, we just pull their dues and stuff out of their
Yeah.
line, so
Yeah.
that would follow the pattern that we do with
Okay, and that's
within
why
the county itself.
that's why it's in front of you as a work session, so that we can flesh out these particular items and what works best.
But let's pay it out of a dues line, so we'll have to establish a new line for it, which
Okay.
is super easy. So just when you get ready to code it, I can send it to Elise and let her know. I think it's just going to be a 500 account, and that's what I was trying to find real quick, but
How much is it a year?
$495 as an associate member.
I like the idea. I think that, like you said, building bridges
I think
is key,
yeah, it'll be 500,000.
Yeah.
but I do. I think if it comes out of your line, it's just something that's always there instead of question later.
Yep.
And I don't want to have others come say, well, you pay their dues, I want you to pay my
Okay,
dues.
so the next item is a question for Christie, and I'm done. I have some items that I can move funds this year into this 500 category. Do I need to do that?
We'll just do bottom line accounting,
Okay,
and so we'll just worry about the bottom line as
and
long
we'll
as you
get
can
this
cover it.
plugged in for next year.
Yep.
Okay,
So when you come to the budget meeting in 2 weeks,
yes.
don't forget to add this.
Don't forget to add it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
to just bring it up that we need
It's
to
a lot
add
of
it.
pressure, 2 weeks out.
That's why I'm asking you to do it, so we don't have to remember.
You'll probably be here 4 or 5 other meetings before then, right?
I'd like this on a motion.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the request for the Bannock County Planning and Zoning to join the Building Contractors Association of Southeast Idaho in the amount of $495.
Have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Then we're going to be at recess for
Jason, 4 to 5, no, 1 to 2?
3 or 4 minutes. I got to talk to Hal for a second.